Did you know that hidden within the Bible are promises so great that if you truly believe them and make them your own, your life will never be the same? Promises that don't depend on circumstances, your mood, or what others say about you, but rest solely on God's faithful love. So often we carry worries, fears, and doubts because we forget something simple. God has already given us words of victory, peace, and blessing. And these promises aren't just lines written in an ancient book. They are living, eternal, and personal truths. Today, I want to invite you to open your heart and mind, because in this video, we're going to discover 7 promises from God that have the power to completely transform your life, if you truly believe them. Promises that will lift you when you feel you can't go on. That will give you hope when everything seems dark. And that will remind you that you never walk alone. The God of heaven is with you. Stay with me until the end. Because we're not only going to talk about these promises, you'll also learn how to apply them every day, how to declare them in faith, and how to live with the certainty that every word God has spoken over you will come to pass. Get ready, because this message could be the beginning of a new chapter in your spiritual life. First promise. God is always with you. One of the most powerful promises we find in the Bible is this: I will never leave you nor forsake you. Joshua 1-5. Can you imagine what it means that the God who created the universe personally commits to stay with you no matter what happens? Many of us live with the fear of being left alone. We wonder, who will stand by me if I fail? Who will hold me up when I have no strength? What if everyone abandons me? Those thoughts can drain us. But here's the truth. God never abandons his children. Friends may drift away. Family might not understand. Life may turn its back on you, but God remains faithful. Think for a moment about your own life. Can you recall a situation when you felt you couldn't go on, yet somehow things worked out? That wasn't a coincidence. It was the fulfillment of this promise. God was there. Maybe you didn't see him. Maybe you didn't feel him. But he never left your side. Jesus himself confirmed it in Matthew 28-20. I am with you always, even to the end of the world. He didn't say sometimes or only when you behave well. He said always. That includes days of sadness, weakness, doubt, and even those moments when you fail and think you don't deserve his love. The beauty of this promise is that it doesn't depend on what you do. It depends on who God is: faithful, constant, overflowing with love. He never changes, and you can rest assured his presence will never leave you. How to apply this promise in your life? Each morning, as soon as you open your eyes, declare out loud, today I do not walk alone. God is with me. That simple phrase will shift your perspective. When you head to work, face a problem, or endure criticism, remember you're not fighting by yourself. The King of Kings goes before you. And here's something more. When you truly believe this promise, fear loses its grip, because you know that even when trials come, you are never unprotected. Even when the world feels uncertain, you have a Father who will never move away from your side. Friend, if you take only one thing from this video, let it be this: God is always with you, and he will never leave you. Second promise. God has good plans for you. There's a verse you've probably heard many times, but we rarely meditate on it deeply. Jeremiah 29-11. For I know the thoughts I have concerning you, declares the Lord, thoughts of peace and not of evil, to give you a future and a hope. Do you realize what this means? That even when you sometimes feel your life is out of control, even when everything seems to be going in the opposite direction, God has a perfect plan full of purpose for you. Many of us carry the question, does my life have meaning? Maybe you failed in a business, a relationship ended badly, or you lost something you considered vital, and in the midst of it you wonder, what will become of me now? But here's the promise. God doesn't improvise with your life. Nothing surprises him. What today seems like a dead end, he can use as a new beginning. What today seems like a loss, He will transform into part of the process that leads you to the destiny He designed for you. Think of Joseph, the son of Jacob. His brothers sold him as a slave. He was unjustly accused. He spent years in prison. Anyone would say, his life is over. But all of that was part of God's plan to bring him to the palace of Egypt and make him governor. Joseph himself acknowledged it when he said to his brothers, "You meant evil against me, but God meant it for good." Genesis 50-20. The same happens with you. Maybe right now you don't understand why you're going through certain difficulties, but heaven already has the answer. God is building a future full of hope for you. How to apply this promise in your life? Instead of asking, "Why is this happening to me?" start asking, "Lord, why are you allowing me to go through this? What do you want to teach me?" This shift in mindset will open your eyes to see opportunities where you once saw only problems. When you understand that your life is in God's hands, you stop worrying about every detail. You begin to rest because you know that the one who created you has already designed a good plan for you. That doesn't mean you will never face trials, but it does mean that in the midst of them, there will be a divine purpose. And the best part, that plan includes a future full of hope. No matter what you've lost, God can give you so much more. No matter what others say about you, God has the final word. So lift your head, because the promise of Jeremiah 29-11 isn't just for biblical times, it's for you. Here and now. Third promise. God will always be with you. One of the most repeated phrases in the Bible is, "Do not fear, for I am with you." We see it in Isaiah 41-10, Joshua 1-9, in the Gospels, and in countless other places. Do you know why God repeats this so often? Because He knows that one of the greatest enemies of our faith is the fear of feeling alone. Loneliness can be devastating. Maybe it's happened to you, being surrounded by people, but feeling like no one truly understands what's inside you. Smiling on the outside, but crying on the inside. Feeling like even when you speak, no one really listens. But here's the promise. God never leaves you alone. Even if everyone walks away, even if friends disappear, even if family fails, He remains faithful. Jesus said it clearly, "I am with you always, to the very end of the age." Matthew 28-20. Notice the word, always. He didn't say, only when you behave well, or when you pray enough, or when you feel it. No, Jesus promised to be with you in the days of joy and in the days of sadness, in the days of victory and in the days of failure. And here's something powerful. God's presence is not an emotion. It's a reality. Even if you don't feel it, He is there. Even if you don't see Him, He walks with you. Even if you think He is silent, He is still holding you up. Think of Daniel in the lion's den. Humanly speaking, he was alone. But in reality, God's presence was with him, shutting the mouths of those lions. Think of the 3 young men in the fiery furnace. The king saw 4, not 3, because Jesus Himself had made His presence known to protect them. Do you know what this means for you? There is no valley so dark that God's light will not accompany you. There is no problem so great that His presence won't cover you. There is no battle so fierce that He won't fight alongside you. Here's a transformative detail. When you truly believe that God is with you, the way you live changes. You no longer walk in fear, but in confidence. You no longer make decisions with anxiety, but with peace. You no longer feel that you carry your problems alone, because you know you have a Father who fights your battles. Every time fear knocks at your door, respond with this truth. I am not alone. The Lord goes with me. This promise is like an anchor in the midst of a storm. It reminds you that, no matter what happens, God never abandons His own. Fourth promise. God has good plans for your life. One of the most well-known, and at the same time most misunderstood promises is found in Jeremiah 29:11, where God says, "For I know the plans I have for you, plans for your well-being and not for harm, to give you a future and a hope." This promise speaks straight to the heart, because what does every human being long for more than anything? A future filled with hope. We all want to believe that life has a purpose, that our efforts aren't wasted, that there is something beyond pain and difficulty. The problem is that we often get stuck on what we see today. If what we face right now is painful, we assume that pain will last forever. If we're walking through a season of scarcity, we fear it will never end. But God says, "I have plans bigger than you can imagine." Here's something crucial to understand. God's plans are not always immediate, nor do they unfold the way we expect. The Israelites who first received this promise were living in captivity in Babylon. Everything looked lost. Yet God reminded them that even in the middle of their suffering, He was working out a perfect plan. Maybe today you feel like you're in a kind of captivity, yourself trapped in a job that drains you, a relationship that hurts you, an illness that wears you down, or a situation that seems impossible. But listen, your story does not end here. God has a future and a hope reserved for you. And the most beautiful part is that His plans are always marked by His love. We may not understand them because we only see the present, but God sees the entire picture. He knows why He allows certain seasons, why He opens some doors and closes others, why some answers take time. What feels like a delay today, you'll recognize tomorrow as protection. What sounds like a no right now will one day become a thank you when you see the better plan. Here's the challenge. Trust those plans even when you don't understand them. That's what faith is, walking without seeing. Yet knowing God never makes a mistake. So when you start to think your life has no direction, remember this promise. God has already mapped out a path for you, a path of hope, not defeat, a future of victory, not failure. You are not an accident. You are not here by chance. You are part of the eternal plan of a God who loves you. Fifth promise. God will answer your prayers. One of the greatest gifts we have as God's children is direct access to His presence through prayer. And with that gift comes a promise Jesus Himself gave us. Ask, and it will be given to you. Seek, and you will find. Knock, and the door will be opened to you. For everyone who asks receives, and the one who seeks finds, and to the one who knocks, it will be opened. Matthew 7:7-8. What an incredible promise. Jesus assures us that our prayers never fall into the void. Every word you speak, every tear you shed before God, every silent sigh no one else hears, all of it reaches the Father's heart. Struggle is that when God doesn't respond immediately or in the way we expect, we assume He hasn't heard us. But here's the truth. God always answers. Sometimes He says yes, sometimes not yet, and sometimes I have something better. The key is trusting that His answer is always perfect, even when it doesn't match our expectations. Think of Hannah, Samuel's mother. She prayed for years for a child, and it seemed as if heaven was silent. But when God's time arrived, her prayer was answered, and not only did she have a son, he became one of Israel's greatest prophets. Think of Elijah, calling down fire on Mount Carmel. God answered in such power that everyone recognized the Lord as the one true God. Even Jesus gave us the ultimate example. In Gethsemane, He prayed not for His own will, but for the Father's will to be done, and that prayer changed the course of human history. Here's the lesson. Your prayer can change your day, your future, even your family. But more than that, prayer changes you. Each time you pray, your heart aligns more closely with God's. Your faith strengthens, your mind is renewed, and your spirit fills with hope. So the next time you feel your prayer is too small or insignificant, remember this promise. Everyone who asks receives, not because of your merit, but because God is a loving Father who hears His children. Don't give up on praying. Keep going. Keep trusting. Keep believing. Even if you don't see immediate results, God is already at work. And when the right moment comes, you'll understand that not a single prayer was ever wasted. Asterisk. Sixth promise. God will give you peace in the midst of the storm. Asterisk. One of the most precious promises we find in the Bible is in John 14:27, when Jesus said to his disciples, "Peace I leave with you. My peace I give you. I do not give to you as the world gives. Do not let your hearts be troubled, and do not be afraid." Jesus spoke these words at a very difficult moment. He was about to be betrayed and go to the cross. Humanly speaking, it was the perfect scenario for fear and despair. But in the middle of that darkness, Jesus offers something the world cannot give, his peace. Here's the key. It's not a peace that depends on everything being fine around you. It's not the peace that comes when you have no problems, but the peace that remains even when the storms rage. Perhaps your life feels like a storm today. Maybe you're struggling with financial worries, a medical diagnosis that frightens you, a broken relationship, or thoughts that won't let you rest. And everything inside you screams anxiety. But here's the promise. Jesus can give you peace in the midst of that storm. A peace that has no human explanation, but sustains your heart. Think of the disciples in that boat when the waves were crashing, and they thought they were going to die. Where was Jesus? Sleeping. Not because he didn't care, but because his peace did not depend on the waves. And when they woke him, he spoke to the wind and the sea, and everything was calm. That same voice that commanded the sea to be still can bring calm to your mind today. That same presence that was in the boat is now with you, reminding you that you don't have to let fear control you. When you receive this promise, your life changes. You no longer react with panic, but with confidence. You no longer allow bad news to govern your heart, because you know that seventh promise. God will fulfill his purpose in your life. The Bible says in Jeremiah 29:11, "For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord, plans for your welfare and not for harm, to give you a future and a hope." This promise is one of the most repeated and cherished, and it's no coincidence. It reminds us that our life is not a product of chance, that we are not a mistake, nor we walking blindly. God has a purpose for you. The most amazing thing is that even when we feel that our plans are collapsing or that we've made wrong decisions, God still has the final word. His plans are higher than ours, and even though the path is not always easy, his will is always good, pleasing, and perfect. Romans 12:2. Look at the life of Joseph. Sold by his brothers, betrayed, unjustly imprisoned. It seemed that everything was against him. But in the end, God used every step, every injustice, every pain, to bring him to the place where he would fulfill his purpose, saving an entire nation from famine. The same applies to you. Maybe today you don't understand why you're going through certain things. Maybe you ask yourself, where is God in all of this? But the promise is clear. He will complete the work he started in you. Philippians 1:6. This means that nothing and no one can frustrate God's plan for your life. Not the poor decisions of others, not the attacks of the enemy, not even your own mistakes. If you surrender to him, if you decide to trust and walk in obedience, God will straighten your path and lead you to where you are meant to be. Perhaps right now you only see scattered pieces, moments of pain or seasons of waiting. But God sees the full picture. And one day, you will look back and say, it was worth trusting. Everything made sense. That's why this promise should fill you with hope. No matter if you're going through a difficult process today, even if everything seems uncertain, believe with faith. God has good plans for you, and nothing can stop what he has prepared. Today, we remember 7 promises of God that can transform your life if you choose to believe in them. They are not empty words. They are eternal truths from a God who keeps his promises. Take these promises, keep them in your heart, and walk with the certainty that God is with you at all times. If this message spoke to your life, subscribe, share this video, and continue with us to discover more of God's Word. May the Lord bless you always.